Okay, so I would like to begin with a prayer. I got this from a book by Marian Williamson.
Mm.
I slightly edited it to make it a little more relevant for us. I gotta see if I can pull it up here. Got too many things on my desktop. Here we go. I lit a candle in honor of our time today, too, so I just want to let you know that. Divine Source, as we embrace our time together, may your spirit come upon us. May we receive your emanations, our souls receive your blessings and grace, and our hearts receive your love. May we contribute peace. May we serve your purpose with all we say and do today and always. Amen.
Yeah.
And it is my delight and pleasure to introduce you to our two presenters today, Kim Kane, who is coming out of a background of being a education analytical leader. And now she's a seeker beyond the 3D reality. She's had a big change in her life doing this work. She's a graduate in clinical hypnotherapy and an accredited practitioner in quantum consciousness. She teaches advanced courses in quantum consciousness at HCH Institute, and she supports our IBERT board as a part of the team by bringing current perspective on what's happening in the field of quantum consciousness, and she supports us with new technologies and AI. And in the next newsletter, she's written a very comprehensive article on AI that I think will be very interesting to all of us if we want to keep up with what's happening in the technological world. So I'm looking forward to the publishing of that. And along with Kim, our other presenter is Susan Lyons. And both she and Kim are fourth generation past life practitioners. Both of them are on the board. And Susan brings a legacy of past life therapy through her grandfather, who was written up in a book on past life regression by, what's the name of the author?
Just Stern.
Jess Stern book. And she teaches hypnotherapy at HCH Institute. She has a private practice with a strong focus on regression therapy and spiritual exploration. And for over 8 years, Susan has provided a monthly group regression meetup, and she has a large following of regular and new students who get to experience past life regressions with a unique focus every month. So she's swimming in the world of regression therapy as a star swimmer at this point. She's done a lot of work with it. So both Susan and Kim have collaborated today for their webinar titled Bridging Timelines and the Art of Jumping Realities.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Mind sharing your screen,
I
Holly?
will be happy to do that.
All right, wonderful. So welcome everybody. Kim and I are here to present information today on quantum consciousness and quantum jumping. Two very interesting, creative, and fun modalities with two slightly different approaches, but that marry each other very well. Kim and I have both worked with these techniques one-on-one and with clients, and as well as in groups with great success. And we've just seen so many wonderful things come out of this work that we thought we would share these ideas with you today. And we had a really good time also collaborating on our two different approaches for this presentation today. We've both been interested in the quantum field and working with these modalities with our clients for a while now. And just again, really observed some wonderful things transpiring in our clients' lives. I do want to say that we are by no means claiming to be experts in the quantum field. We simply feel inspired to share our processes in this area because we're very passionate about the results we've seen with our clients. And can you go to the next screen, please, Holly? Fantastic. So what we will cover today, a little bit of history, some definitions, some terms that'll be helpful to know, client experiences, how these modalities support our clients, quantum jumping, quantum consciousness, how we're using these in groups and in demos. And then you will have a quantum consciousness journey held by Kim at the end of this presentation. Okay. And so next slide, Holly, and I'll pass it over to you, Kim.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. And I'm very glad to be here today, and especially, looking out and seeing people I so admire and who've been doing this work for a while. And as Holly mentioned, we're fourth generation, is that right? So there's a lot of beautiful footsteps that have led us here. So, before starting into this little bit of history, as past life regression therapists, you're already working with others beyond the ordinary boundaries of time and identity, which is very much the core of quantum jumping and quantum consciousness. And similarly, in quantum consciousness and jumping, we also help clients recover meaning and healing and insight from the realms that transcend our linear experience. So what we want to do today is to invite you into a complementary perspective, which is the quantum realm, and it's an expansion of the work we already do. So we can explore how quantum jumping and quantum consciousness offer another view of our multidimensional natures, and how it can add, expand, enrich journeys maybe that you're already facilitating. So let's travel back a little in time, way back to the 1600s and Galileo. And, there's many different ways to look at it, but in today's presentation, the focus is on kind of what happened as a result of that trial and the aftermath. And the idea was that Galileo seceded to the church, and the church, in a manner, even though he was, locked up the rest of his life, decided that the science would have the body, science would have matter and the physical world, and the church would have the realm of the spirit and soul. And that was a temporary arrangement, so they thought, but as we know, that's been a division in our Western consciousness ever since. And we already were living in duality, of course, but this just deepened that perceived duality. And spirituality just was squashed under the heavy load of the church doctrine and authority. And so instead of liberating souls, they really were confined by these institutions. And in the meantime, then science really was surging forward in a beautiful way. A lot of progress was being made. Unhealthy and unfounded superstitions were overturned. There was typhoid, all kinds of diseases that just had a high mortality rate, and a lot of progress was made. But like many things, its own success began to fuel, a faith of science and orthodoxy of science. And so if you couldn't replicate it in a lab um, or or even move it into if you couldn't replicate it in a lab or reduce it to data, then gosh, it just didn't count, right? And the idea was that um, you would be excluded from any of the institutions that held the power of this science. So many people who came up with new ideas were ridiculed and mocked, or the ideas were even made illegal. So science that had been open-minded just became another of the bureaucratic thinkers, right in line with the church, just going a different route. So mysteries in nature gave way to orthodoxy and domination. And so there really wasn't any way for the common person to have an outlet for this spirituality to grow. It was all, um, you know, presided over by the church. And there was still that longing for deeper meaning that's so innate in our human nature, right? And there just wasn't anywhere to turn for that free thinking spirit person. And the way that the world works, a wonderful thing happened. And I just think so often about the New Thought movement and how it liberated us from this rationalism and from church authority too. It was really thought to be very heretical to most of the Christians of the time, but so many amazing thinkers that we still follow today, and some of the ideas that we still follow today came out of that New Thought movement. Um, I have to look at my notes here for Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. I always have trouble with that name, who was a folk healer, mentalist, and a mesmerist. The Fillmores, who started Unity Church, they were all part of the New Thought movement. Norman Vincent Peale and his power of positive thinking. Edward Casey was a derivative of this movement. And a lot of the concepts we use today, like mind over matter, spiritual evolution, law of attraction, all of those came through New Thought. And what a liberation. And individuals now had direct access to the divine instead of having to go through the church, which was not something the church was very fond of, who wanted not to give up their power. So the early 20th century, another shift came. And I think it's no coincidence that New Thought preceded this new science. There's just so much that's bubbled up from that movement that allowed an amazing shift for all of us that we still feel today. But along came quantum physics. And uh, nowhere did I find anyone tying those two together. But I tie them together because I just think that that freedom of thought could not have come about without that collective consciousness that was shifting so largely based on this New Thought movement. Can you go to the next slide, Holly?
Mhm.
So here's some other insights that were gathered in quantum physics. And, these are things that shamans, indigenous persons have known uh, forever. But what quantum physics discovered, uh, in much the way Columbus discovered America, something that was always already there, but time is fluid. Observation alters reality. We'll talk more about that. And consciousness may be more fundamental than matter itself. And I, for one, believe that consciousness is fundamental and that consciousness creates matter rather than the other way around. Um, I kind of like this quote from Max Planck, and he's considered to be the father of quantum physics. And he said, a new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. And I think we see that so often in science today, and it could be said of many things, right? Um, so to stay young of heart and of mind and to respond in ways that continue to support the evolution of our clients. They're evolving. We want to evolve with them, evolve with the collective that's growing and expanding in all kinds of new ways. So I like to bear that quote in mind to stay open. I don't want to be someone barring the door for new ideas as they come along. So as we look in this work, I just again remind you, this is an expansion of what we already do, not a replacement. And as we finish up this brief history, I will turn it over to Susan for some definitions.
Fantastic. So I've been practicing past life regression now for 13 years, and I'm always looking for new, interesting, and progressive modalities to add to my toolkit. And this technique felt natural to add to my ever-evolving repertoire. Next slide, Holly. Thank you. So I'd like to go over some definitions so that we can ground this concept, ones that help clarify quantum jumping, how it might be practically useful in your work with your clients. And so quantum jumping is a technique that allows individuals to access alternative versions of themselves across parallel realities and bring insights, skills, and energy from these realities into the present. In therapeutic or personal growth settings, quantum jumping offers a way to embody expanded versions of the self, ones already living the outcomes we seek. And so to fully understand quantum jumping, it helps to look at the multiverse theory. And this theory suggests that our universe isn't the only one, but part of a much larger collection of possible universes, a multiverse. Each universe could contain different versions of reality and even different versions of ourself. And so these are just terms that are helpful to understand. So the multiverse, the core idea that our universe is one of many. Possible scenarios, these universes may operate under different laws of physics or unfold with different events. And the scientific theories, concepts like cosmological inflation and string theory, support the possibility of a multiverse. And then we also have the many worlds interpretation, a branch of quantum mechanics that suggests that every choice creates a branching universe with a new outcome. Okay. So quantum jumping, we use this concept symbolically, offering clients a framework to explore other versions of themselves who have made other or different choices, hold different beliefs, or live in a more aligned, excuse me, circumstances. Okay, so quantum jumping is also being referred interchangeably with some other terms. So I thought I would just throw them out there so that you can recognize these when you hear these. They're kind of used, again, interchangeably. So we've got reality shifting, timeline shifting, dimensional jumping, multiverse travel, state shifting, or hypnotic journeying. And Kim, I will hand it over to you. Perfect. Next slide. Yeah, that's great.
I guess I better take myself off mute. So yeah, quantum consciousness also contains some of the elements that Susan talked about, particularly the many worlds theory, Hugh Everett's many worlds theory, and there are some differences in the approach. One being in quantum consciousness, it is kind of grounded in the science, so it's not only symbolic. It's really looking at the observer effect, entanglement, um, non-locality, and holographic healing. And all of that is a couple of hour topic in itself, and not everything that is covered in this training can be we can't cover it all here today in our allotted shared time, but I thought it would be great to highlight enough so that if you're interested in learning more, there's, many ways to do that. One way is I am offering a quantum practitioner course at HCH at the end of September, the last 2 Saturdays in September, so you can check it out on the HCH website. But moving on to quantum consciousness. So I like to kind of split out the words, those two words, and really where they're coming from. So quantum is the smallest discrete particle of energy. And over time, what's been discovered is that, uh, and I think it's something we all know, that the universe isn't made of solid things. It's made of energy and fields of potential. So those discrete particles, they can exist in multiple states. This is the idea of, really all things are possible. So until we actually observe those multiple particles in their infinite states, anything is possible. And then the observer creator effect, when we observe it, it guides it into that vibration or that frequency. And it's up to us whether that's higher or lower. And through that observation, however we are observing it, oh, this is awful, this is terrible, it's the end of the world, or, oh, I wonder what might happen next. We have that opportunity to raise that vibration and pull in and manifest what's going to happen. So that's the physics idea behind manifesting. Um, and so that's why we all gather, right? To remind each other again and again of how we can stay in resonance and hold that frequency for our clients. It's important in all work, but it's a keystone in quantum consciousness. And then consciousness is more than the brain definition of human awareness. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that consciousness is fundamental. It's the field that everything arises out of, and that consciousness is everywhere. And so quantum consciousness is that recognition that we're not fixed identities. Um, we're expressions in the field of possibility. This is just who we are in this moment as we gather, but we've been many other things many other times, and in fact are in this moment in our parallel versions of ourselves. And we'll be talking a little bit about that as we begin to journey. Um, but the quantum consciousness experience creates a bridge between quantum theory and lived spiritual experience. So we get to see that healing isn't only a repair, but it's a realignment with our true frequency across all the realms. So now we'd like to share a couple of client experiences. So I'll turn it over to Susan.
Perfect. And you can move to the next slide even, Holly. So Kim and I thought it would be interesting that we shared a couple of experiences that we've had with the clients we've worked with these techniques, so that you can understand a little bit about like the results and how it plays out for the client. So I have a client that I've been working with for a few years that came to me struggling with self-confidence, specifically around her artwork. So she's an artist, she's a painter, and she has a difficult time exchanging her art for money. She's deeply passionate about the painting, the pieces, and the uplifting and the peace that she brings, upliftment and the peace that she brings to others through her artwork. She often feels blocked when it comes time to name a price. She tends to undervalue herself. Selling her work has not been consistent at all, and deep down, she didn't feel deserving of being paid well for something so close to her heart. So we had been working together for a while, and and then I decided I was going to share this process with her, and something just wonderful happened during the quantum jump session that we did. She found herself in a parallel reality, one where she owned a stunning gallery in Paris. It was opening night, people wandering through the space, quietly taking in her artwork. But instead of verbal feedback, she received emotional responses, waves of appreciation, joy, and even healing reflected back to her through their glowing expressions. And it's important to note that this client is a feeler. So whatever she was experiencing was her most heightened sense as the feedback that she got. She could feel the impact that her heart was having, and in that moment, she embodied what it feels like to be truly seen and valued. She soaked in this vibrant frequency of being celebrated, abundant, and aligned. She brought that felt sense of deserving back with her to the present. And then guess what? 2 weeks later, when we had our next session, she lit up. She sold 3 paintings to one person who was so moved by her artwork, they insisted on paying the full value price that she had put and paying her in cash.
Mm.
So it was very timely that this happened right after a session. So it just goes to show the impact that these kind of sessions can have. And I'll move to you. Next slide. Move to you, Kim.
Thank you, Susan. I love that story and what happened for your client. And it does show the power of this work. So a client came to me, a new client, for support with sugar addiction. And so we did the intake. She was a frequent meditator, but she did mention she didn't believe in past lives and had no interest in exploring them. But she had an idea that the reason that she was having this issue that she just couldn't um, quit or reduce her sugar intake was that mind-body connection, that things were out of alignment. And she was very clear about where the issues came from. So that openness was really a great doorway for a quantum consciousness session. And so at the end of the session, she wanted to just melt away and stay in that state she was in. But when we did our post follow-up session, what she mentioned most was how she had accessed this profound stillness, which is something that happens quite often in quantum consciousness sessions, in a field of peace and a feeling of being complete. And that idea that instead of identifying as something to fix, she found that part of herself that just was her beingness, whole and untouched by craving. And of course, once we are freed from the body, that's who we really are. And so she saw it as even more than an experience. It was a remembering, a going back to holding on to um, that spirit of being beyond the body and the craving. And so what she said was that she didn't need to change or earn her healing. And had always been a, go get 'em gal. And you have to be productive and busy and happening. And she realized that getting off the sugar, the issue was how did she earn that? And then in this peaceful place, she realized the earning isn't necessary. It's already there and being already whole. Um, she didn't need just sugar to bring sweetness into her life. She could have sweetness from many other sources. And while she was in her session, she also met the presence of her mother and was aware of the unspoken grief they both carried because sugar had been their language of comfort. And so the outcome was practical. She got off sugar and lost 40 pounds. But this is now 2 years later and she's kept it off. So that's the practical part. But I think more importantly, she allows sweetness into her life in many forms. And that's the deeper healing. It's great to release the habit, sure, but the integration of herself to herself is just priceless. So let's discuss how this approach supports our clients. So one is access to healing beyond time, which we're all used to, right? That's the mainstay of past life regression. Um, but both of these approaches, quantum jumping and quantum consciousness, are also outside time and space. But what that means is that past, present, and future are the opening gate, and clients can move in to heal beyond any of that. So it's not only about time, it's about whatever form we're in, beyond karma, um, in whatever direction the client feels led in those sessions, in whatever form they may take. It's not always human. In fact, quite often, maybe not. And the client's leading the direction, and we're used to that. And the focus, though, is very much on resonance, as Susan had mentioned, on the energetic and the vibration and the frequency. So our focus in the session, our stated focus and our actual practice is shifting the resonance more than the story. And then encouraging identity expression. Clients come to us and they have their personal stories, their wounds, their roles or conditions. And this modality invites clients to see themselves as they really are, which is a field of possibility, of awareness that they're connected and they're powerful. And it is really an opportunity for the client to give herself permission to change and grow, or just rest in beingness. There's something profound about not even needing to be any different, but to recognize and remember who we are and just sit in that. And certainly something we all see with clients is that inner critic. And this is a great way to bypass that inner critic, because it often analyzes, it lives in the mind. And in these processes, we're moving beyond the home of the inner critic, the mind. And so the inner critic also often wonders about imagination versus experience. Am I making this up? So in our pre-talks, it's a focus on the direct experience so that we can leave analysis at the door and just be where we are. And it's really useful for clients who are so logically inclined and have trouble getting past the mind. So we'll dive a little more in depth, and I'll turn it over to Susan.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Well, you can go back. Well, no, it doesn't matter, I guess. Let's see, quantum jumping in hypnotherapy, a guide for transformation. So quantum jumping becomes especially powerful when paired with hypnotherapy. It's often structured yet imaginative way to bypass the analytical mind and access deeper layers of identity. And next slide, please, Holly. While the term is inspired by quantum physics, in this context, it's not about literal science. It's about how consciousness can shift when belief systems and emotional patterns change. In hypnotherapy, the process may look like this: induce a deep relaxation to quiet the critical mind, use guided visualization to connect the client with an alternate empowered self, clear limiting beliefs that keep them anchored in past versions of themselves, and embed new emotional signature and mindset that match the desired reality. And I'll talk a little bit more about this empowered self and the importance of raising the vibration in these type of sessions. So overcoming blocks to transformation. To truly make a quantum jump, clients must release the psychological or energetic blocks that prevent transformation, as we do in all of our sessions, of course. Some of the most common include feelings of unworthiness, a scarcity mindset, fear of visibility or failure, rigid self-concepts. Helping clients recognize and gently shift these blocks allows them to access a greater sense of identity fluidity, creating space for the new version of the self to land. And so next slide, please. So energetics of the jump. There's two really important things I want to talk about that happen in these quantum jumping sessions. and I mentioned earlier, raising the vibration. So a low vibration filled with doubt, shame, or fear makes it difficult to perceive higher potential outcomes for the client, right? How do they see that there's this higher vibration possibility or a desired life if that vibration or that possibility is vibrating at a higher vibration than where they're at? So if they're here, we need to do a little work to for the vibration to be high enough to actually see the possibilities, see the opportunities. Okay. So we guide the clients to elevated emotional states such as joy, peace, gratitude, or curiosity. And from here, their system becomes more receptive to expanded realities. Now, some of this may be work that you do before the actual quantum jumping session itself. And then we also do some work in the session to raise the vibration. And then we have the client step into the desired state, the desired life, the desired new, I don't want to say new, the desired potential reality, right? Um, Once they're aligned, clients are guided to fully embody this alternative self, sensing it as if it's happening right now, just like we do in a past life regression. We engage all of the senses and emotional resonance, allowing the version of the self to be felt and internalized. This creates a powerful emotional imprint, an energetic signature that the client brings back into the waking state. And I often ask, or I probably always ask, the higher self and invite the higher self to help to create a pathway that bridges the current life into the new higher potential. And then we encourage our clients to notice the shifts and opportunities and synchronicities that follow, like we expect to see the results. We invite our clients to do that. So quantum jumping in hypnotherapy isn't just about imagining something better. It's about aligning identity with possibility. Through visualization, belief restructuring, and deep emotional resonance, clients begin to embody their future self now. When approached with clarity and intention, this process becomes a reliable and even eloquent path for transformation. And next slide, Holly, and I'll hand it over to you, Kim.
Thanks, Susan. Given our human 3D time constraints that we're in, I thought the best way to approach this is kind of from a feeling perspective. Go on to the next slide, Holly. So one of the main tenets of the quantum consciousness approach is moving beyond the body, the mind, and the intellect, going into an expanded state. And we don't focus so much on recalling specific memories in the journey. It's a little bit more of a free flow to wherever the client wants to go, or wherever the client, I guess, is called to go, is a better way to say that. And so the work is about expanding awareness and opening to possibility and really connecting with a multi-dimensional aspect of the self, our self, again, beyond the body and the confines of the mind. Um, and then one of the main characteristics of the session is setting the intention. So in working with a client, when they come in at whatever place they're in, they have their story and they have their situation. And we start at that point in really trying to help elevate that client into a higher state. And we do that with setting a very high vibrational intention. And because that intention is high vibrational, as we work through the process, and sometimes this can be 15 or 20 minutes of the initial part of the session is just working with the client to release the fear that they usually have to uh, speak about this intention incredibly detailed specifics to get just what they want, and instead letting go and really trusting the universe to deliver just what they need. And so we work through that with the intention, which then also helps raise the vibration. And then moving into this expanded awareness, it's rather brief compared to some types of past life regression therapy. I would say on the whole, it's more in the like 10-minute range and or less. Uh, and then in the session, as facilitators, we hold the space for the consciousness itself. So really what we're about in that is we are journeying with the client. So we speak of we. And uh, under the language considerations, when we're talking to you, the client, we're really speaking to this connected state, this part that's moved beyond the body and mind that we might call higher self, connected, collective, whatever it is. But the you we speak to is not the client. That client is that body that's participating, that needs us to go out and find that information and bring it back. So we always speak of the client in the third person. And then with those two things, it really allows them to move past that identity of who they are in this lifetime, in this 3D state. And another component really is leaving a lot of time for the client's inner experience. And I think we all do that. It's a little bit more about a minimal prompting in a way, and not maybe telling the client right where they'll be. Of course, the experience is going to differ depending on the client, right? Because some clients need a lot more support and guidance. But since I typically try to, in the pre-discovery call and in working with the client, um, I really suggest that people do this work who've already had meditation experience, hypnotherapy, um, uh, have worked with plant medicines, breath work, any kind of expansive experience. And that seems to work a lot better for them in expanding. And next slide, Holly. I thought this was kind of interesting. I just snagged this off the Institute for Quantum Consciousness, and they were looking at 111 cases of interdimensional consciousness. And this table in the research was how the participants described themselves in the journey, who they were in this expanded state. And so you can see quite often they were off-world beings or in just an energetic state. Sometimes they considered it to be a metaphor, a message, and other times an actual life form that was energetic. And of course, there's also the past life aspect, collective consciousness. But I thought that was interesting. And this was from the early days of the work. But yeah, it just shows how many possibilities of things we can be, and the idea that we're past lives, but we're also many lives in the present, and that we've had lives on other planets and other places, and lives with maybe no form at all or no recognizable form. All right, well, I think at this time I'll turn it back over to Susan to talk about our group experiences.
Yeah, so I just wanted to touch a little bit on group experiences, because I have started using this process in groups. I actually had this in my past life regression. It was one of the subjects for this year that we're in right now, 2025. And I will continue to be offering this as one of the intentions for my past life regression groups. In group quantum consciousness and jumping sessions, participants are invited to move beyond the ordinary boundaries of body and mind. Freed from personal narratives, many experience a sense of liberation, spaciousness, and peace. Through each individual's journey, though each individual's journey will naturally vary depending on their comfort with meditation, hypnotherapy, or past life regression, the sessions do not require detailed personal stories. Instead, they can open gateways into collective fields and multidimensional awareness, allowing consciousness to explore beyond linear time and identity. And again, I had this at my earlier in the year at one of my monthly past life regression groups, and everybody had their own experience and own story, and the sharing was fascinating, and people were deeply moved by this process. So this can happen even in a group. And Kim, back over to you. Same slide, Holly.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been doing these monthly as well, and I know Carol's done some group ones too. Carol Louie here with us today, and it's surprising how well it goes in a group. But in the outdoor group circles, that surprised me because I thought prior to doing it, how is it going to be with this distraction and there's other people around and things going on? And actually, those elements became co-facilitators, right? Because there's something about being in nature that just allows us to be even more easily connected. And all of those sounds just, moved right into being part of the experience. So my first opportunity to do this was at something one of our wonderful teachers and friends, Annie Blackstone, has an event called the Woo Woo in the Redwoods. So I first tried it there and it went very well. And so I've since done it at two of our local parks. And, people would walk by. They're kind of far away. I picked a spot, somewhat out of the way. But just it flowed with the experience. And so since we weren't going within, we were going out and expanding, it just all incorporated into the experience. And yeah, it was an enhancement to it all. And then another way of using these sessions, again, where I got my chance to try it out was at Annie's Woo Woo in the Redwoods. But typically our sessions are, maybe an hour and a half or even a little more, counting the intake and the setting that high vibrational intention and all of that. So I was kind of thinking, gosh, how am I going to do this and be of benefit to someone in 15 or 20 minutes? But again, I think because it was out of doors and just the people that were led, I don't know. But all I can say is people went immediately to that expanded state with a very short induction, 3 or 4 minutes. That's about all we had in that short time frame. And they stayed in that expanded place and got that feeling of deep connection and clarity. And one session I don't know that I'll ever forget. It was surprising to me, and they always say expect the unexpected, but a person came and signed up for one of these little mini sessions, and she was a meditator, but she didn't have other types of experience. She was new to the area and just came to see what was going on. She didn't know anyone there, and we did the expansion, and out she went, and she had her, wish I could remember what the intention was, but I don't. But she intuitively knew, and this just blows me away, that she needed a rebirthing process, which she did herself because she was guided there to do it. It was just amazing. And all of that in this little 20-minute time frame. I mean, I guess when we're moving beyond time and space, that time is just doesn't matter, right? And I did mention that in the pre-screen, I prefer accepting clients into doing this particular work if they do have some background in meditation, hypnotherapy, or other practices, in plant medicine, especially transformational breath work. It's just an easy thing to move into. And as I said, I've had clients do this who have no prior experience, but I think they really move into it very well when they have had that. Ah, guess what it's time for?
Yeah.
Yay, it's journey time. Well, Holly, do we need to offer a break or anything, or we just go right on in?
Ask anybody needs a break. Can I get off screen so we can get back to our group on screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get back to the whole group here.
Hello, every beautiful person now. It's nice to see you. All right. So just make sure all the microphones are off. They are. And if you do have something handy to jot down any thoughts or anything that comes up that might be helpful, it's not necessary. This will be about 20 minutes, including this introduction, and this will give you time as I am chatting here to get into a comfortable position and kind of explain our intention for today. So, as a facilitator of consciousness, my soul dances with your soul. We go on this journey together, which can be a little different than other practices. And so, in that journey together, my role is to hold the knowing for each and every one of you and hold that space, knowing that you are magnificent, that you are so much more than you know, no matter how much experience we have in this. We learn, don't we, every time that we're more than we dreamed of. And of course, being in a group, I can guide you with some things, but of course, I can't get any feedback. Um, so I don't know where we're going to dance next. So this will be much more led than it would be in an individual session. So today's journey, what I wanted to do was really to support us as regression therapists as we support others. And, I don't know about you, but when I watch the news, when clients watch the news, social media, open an email, really anything that screams to us, we're all doomed, there's no answers. That can happen. And then we can resonate with fear and limitation. But as we all know, that we know because we've experienced this, there are answers. There's many answers, and some of them already exist in our physical realm. They're already here. And with other needed solutions, we together collectively in this planet will bring them into existence by our thoughts, our observations, and our willingness to hold unlimited possibility. Um, so this journey is designed to help us move into that resonance. And the further we can release fear of the unknown and just invite in those many possibilities for healing and harmony and remembering our source. There's many different forms of quantum consciousness journeys, but this one today is focusing on meeting another aspect of yourself. So the idea is that every time we make a decision, we take a fork in the road, and this creates another embodied consciousness. So we know one path, the one we're on right now, right? But we move beyond that in time and space, and all those other paths are there also. And those other paths have already found answers to some of our challenges. Those other aspects of us already know how to release that fear, how to move into that state where we hold that we are limitless, magnificent beings. And so in this state of accessing another aspect of ourself, it's really easy because the entanglement is so strong. Why? Because we're the same collection of subatomic particles. We're not going into a life in another body that may have had a completely different formation. We're going to another aspect of ourself that already exists, having branched off it at one of these other times. So we're not going very far and we're not moving in time. We're just adjusting our radio dial just a little bit to a different frequency. And we're really moving in space rather than time, because those versions are continuing to unfold in unison, although in their own way, given wherever they branched at the fork in the road. So we want to hold on to the knowing that there's an aspect of us that has these answers that solve the unsolvable, and that these infinite possibilities are there for us to access. And I think an interesting phenomenon of this work is that, you know what, the other versions of us want to help. Some of them are even expecting us and they want us there. And maybe it's their way of expanding their awareness to help us. But also, guess what? Maybe this meeting today is also for us to help them, because in every version of ourselves, wherever we are, we have different challenges, we have different solutions, and that's where we get to meet to share this in the beautiful collective. So today, I'll hold our vibration as light workers, and I like a term that Susan shared with me, which was love workers. Don't you love that? I love that. And as light workers, love workers, we can sense the collective with our resonant vibrations. So as we gather together, all of us today, it can only be more powerful with all of us here. The collective, as we meet our aspects, we're at least doubling all of us that are here, depending on how many aspects come forward. So as a reminder for all of us that do group journeys, with any group journey, my pace might be faster or slower than your experience or your conscious connection. So feel free to move in or out of my voice as best supports you. If you need to fly ahead or tune me out because you want to just stay where you are, this is your journey, and all of us together will collectively support one another. So, as we begin this journey and move into an expanded state, we're going to use this high vibrational intention. You ready? I live in the field of infinite possibility. So please take just a moment now and begin to settle in. Close your eyes. Drop your shoulders. And breathe this in. I live in the field of infinite possibility. Feel into that frequency of infinite possibility. Making room for the infinite, we invite in the letting go, the setting aside of any preconceived ideas or notions so that you can be open to a new experience. The setting aside of anything you think you may know about how this experience will go, so that you can be open to the experience itself. And as we breathe into the beautiful energy of this group that's been called to share some time and energy with one another as you breathe into the light and allow yourself to ever so gently drift and float and float and drift. It's like your awareness drifts beyond the mind, resting the mind, letting go. And as you continue to drift and float, the body that you know so well continues to breathe. And your awareness, your eternal awareness, fills the room you're in. Your awareness breathes in the universe further into your being, right here, allowing the awareness to blend, beginning the greater awareness in the universe itself. And in this beautiful and loving moment, you transcend time and space. And as the layers of human self fall further away, your natural state of being is free as you continue to expand. You are pure consciousness, gently embracing your divine state of being beyond all human knowing and imagination. And you, dear one, were always this. In this moment, as this is remembered, the gentle surrender into your magnificence is felt easily and naturally. Everything else falls gently away, for you are a vibrational being in a universal symphony of light, flowing freely through all dimensions and realities. And the knowing of this sets you free. Offering your energy to all there is, bringing harmony and resonance, always felt and experienced as our journey so naturally unfolds. Your consciousness expands even more as we invite the intention for today to live in a field of infinite possibility. Infinite possibilities continue to exist as we stay open. Allow your awareness to open to the wisdom in whatever form, knowing that this aspect of you has just the wisdom you are looking for. And as this invitation is accepted, the other aspect of you drifts gently across your senses. Feel their energy. Sense the resonance they give you now. And as you connect across space, this wisdom gently flows so that you have a beautiful message, a message that's been waiting to allow the flow. And I'll pause now as you sense that beautiful message that's just perfect for you at this time, as you live in the field of infinite possibility. And allowing it to unfold as you gratefully receive this message. Pause to ask what they may want to know from you, and allow that experience to unfold in whatever way you are drawn. As this experience reveals the deep connection of your shared aspects, you are more entangled and open to the deepening knowing of your other aspect. Also knowing this is a conversation you can return to, a resonance and a wisdom you can embrace whenever you choose. And that wisdom can continue to flow from this high vibrational aspect of you. This aspect of you that loves you so much that they would travel across space to be. In a moment, we'll pause our conversation, but before we do, allow love and gratitude to pass between you. Grateful for the message you receive. Grateful for what you had to offer. Allowing that gratitude to pass back and forth between you. Now, with all you have experienced while you've drawn across space to this point, we'll re-embark back into the here and now. And when you're ready, return to the body and mind fully refreshed, leaning into the breath, the beautiful breath of the human form. And when you're ready, open your eyes, and if there's anything you'd like to jot down that might be important to talk about. And please continue to write if you have anything that you want to cover. And Susan and I will open it up for reflections or questions or whatever comes up. Does anyone have any comments, reflections, questions? Robin.
I just wanted to tell you how beautiful that was. It's really beautiful. And I've done so many sessions with you, and this was a short session, but still so powerful, unbelievably beautiful and transcendent. I just wanted to thank you for your beautiful presence and offering. It was as always, it was illuminating in that space. Good reminders.
And it just feels like it's magnified in a group, isn't it? Anytime we
Yeah.
get to do these group events, we all bring our beautiful energy, and wow, we
Beautiful.
unfold.
I think we're all so blissed out that we don't have any questions. It was really beautiful, really beautiful.
I just want to say I appreciate that you said to leave your analysis at the door and just experience. And that was a very moving and something I've written down to make sure I can express that sometimes in my sessions. Thank you.
Carol.
Oh, that was so beautiful. My dear quantum consciousness friend, colleague. And I love the intention you set in the beginning about tapping into the infinite possibilities. I had a specific intention, but I it's like I merged what my intention was with yours. And I got, when you said, about receive a message, um, I got this message very, very clear. Tap into the wisdom in the field of infinite possibilities. My question was, how can I provide a certain type way I do music for meditations, similar to holotropic breath work, but not exactly. That's been a little stumbling block for me in my work right now. And in that quote, so I didn't just get words, I got, these visions about, look, you've tapped into something that has helped you learn how to do video editing. That same energy will help you put these music things together exactly in the right way. And so when I accepted that message, at the very end, I saw in front of me, first of all, Aladdin's lamp, and I heard, make 3 wishes. And so I need to sit and meditate with that. I feel very emotional just thinking about that. And I feel like it's like I tell people in my classes, we don't ask the universe enough. And I think the universe is telling me I'm not asking enough either.
Mm.
So thank you so much for that.
Mm.
I've had the experience working on Zoom for about 4 or 5 years now, and rarely, occasionally, I get to meet a person in 3D that I haven't met before in 3D because we've just had a virtual experience. And I felt the same kind of connection with that quantum part of myself today. Like I've known it, I've been with it, it's been working through me, but today I had that experience of a more personal connection with it. The way I feel when I get to meet one of my students that I haven't met in 3D before. It was really beautiful, really
Mm.
lovely. And it was a total affirmation for me of knowing that I've been accessing that expansion through my work, through my life, but to have it feel more intimate now, more personal now, more direct.
Mm.
And I love, you talking about the intentionality and the raising of frequency, because I think that is the key to everything we're doing with our clients, whether it's quantum consciousness or not, that if we can expand our frequency, if we can hold that intentionality, that it entrains our clients' capacity to be able to do that too. And that is nothing that's talked about in hypnotherapy or even in psychology. That's the quantum field. That's the key to me of the healing right there.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful direct experience of that today. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Holly. And all of us that do this work, and especially in the gatherings, it's just when we gather together, like with us here today that are already, insiders in this field, and we get to help each other stay elevated. And then all of the gatherings that we do, Susan does them, Virginia does them, you do them, I'm sure everyone here does, Carol does them, and we all get that chance to come in, I'm sure you all, as I do, we hold it as sacred. So before we enter that group space, we've done our connection ourselves so that we're already there and can help. boy, the world's a tough place sometimes, and right now it sure seems like it is. And the more we can just remind each other, it's not what we hear in the news. It's not these seemingly set ideas. It's all of the things that each of us is bringing with infinite possibility. All the answers really are here. And what I like with any of the work we do, but in quantum work, sometimes there's that very concrete answer as well as the esoteric. So,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm not sure if we're out of time, Holly. Are we?
Just about there, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. I think we're all ready to continue on our own journey with a nap included after that. That was so beautiful.
If you guys want, I have a clip of the journey, just the journey itself, so you could just run that on an audio if you want it. Let me know, or let Holly know, and I'll send her the link.
Why don't you send it and I can send it to everybody? Maybe one of
Okay.
you could write down the name of everybody who's attending, just so I don't usually remember that very well. Somebody just jot down everybody's name. Does everybody feel ready to close? Because I have a closing prayer to share that was generated through Susan's prompting to AI, and it's quite profound and quite lovely. So here it is. As we prepare to return from the space of deep connection, let us carry forward the wisdom that has awakened within each of us. May the insights we've received take root in our being, gently unfolding in perfect time, guiding us towards clarity, healing, and growth. May the breath remind us of our presence, the stillness remind us of our strength, and the dreams remind us of our infinite potential. We honor the mysteries within, the journeys still unfolding, and the unseen forces that support us on our path. As we rise, may we bring the sense of peace into the waking world, moving with intention, speaking with kindness, and listening with open hearts. And so, with gratitude for this sacred space and for each other, we return whole, grounded, and renewed. So it is.
So it is.
Thank you all for coming and being a part of this community. And one of my associates who's in a mystic group with me has been telling me about this resource of this person who writes about consciousness in groups. And one of the things that I've learned from this person is that community is about belonging. And that's what we get to do. We get to belong with each other. So thank you for belonging.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Kim and Susan. That was
Thank you,
wonderful.
Holly, Susan,
Yeah.
everyone for being here.
This will be on YouTube in a few days so that you can review it. And please tell your community about this video. Let people have access to it so everybody can expand. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Susan, so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Did you write down everybody's name?
I captured the screen,
Perfect.
so I would have it. Do you want me to give it to you?
Yeah, send it to me, and then you can send me what you want me to make available to people.
Okay.
Gals did such a beautiful job. Thank you so
Did we? Gosh, I was so nervous. I just, it took me almost till the end to calm down. You could probably tell when I shifted into.
We should do a quantum consciousness first, right?
Yes.
I know. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. It's just,
I
oh,
hope,
it's just beautiful people. Gosh.
yeah, and I hope you get some students from this. I wouldn't be surprised if you do. May I have permission to also put this on the HCH YouTube?
Sure, yeah, that would be neat.
I'll put it on the HCH YouTube too.
Yeah. I wish I knew video editing because it would be nice to be able to, you know,
It doesn't really need an edit. It's very organic. And it costs, I mean, if there's a little blip, it goes by so quickly and you're on to the next thing. So it doesn't really matter.
yeah. Well, it's like what I do when I have my monthlies, I do the journey separate. So it's nice just to clip it out so people can just do that if they want to. But
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's good to have both, but we can maybe have two videos. We can have a video with it and a video without it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll send you the link. Thank you so much. And
So much. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
just
Bless
great
you.
for me. Thank you, Holly. Bye bye.